got MVP of the game. Now that's Canadian hockey for you. The Americans still show this commercial down in the States. I don't know if you remember it. It showed depicted Canadians going up north to play boot hockey, which we've all played on the open lake, right? And these 10 geeks go up and they're hiked north to find ice because it's difficult to find ice here, right? You have to really go up north to catch it. They just depict us like we're complete morons down there, right? So they get so far up north that during the game, I don't know if you remember it, the guy skates over the camera and goes, "This is our arena, no referee." Do you remember that? And then a wolf takes the boot, which they're using for the goal, off the ice and runs away with it, and they say that's Canadian hockey. And I was like, oh my God. Do you think 10 Canadians would hike that far north and only bring Coors Light? The Americans didn't understand the commercial, so they had a blue streak come out of the wolf's ass, and that's into hockey. It's tough for us to compete with the States. We don't do much better than them. They have a larger population to pull from. I went down when I was 18 years old to Fort Lauderdale on spring break. I don't know if anybody's done that, but we went down there. Me and my 3 buddies, Haas, Tank, and Bear. Haas was 375 pounds, Tank was 350, and Bear was 3 1/4. These are big drinking buddies of mine, right? We drove down with $400 cash between the 4 of us for 10 days. That was all the OSAP money we had left, right? Got down there, ran out of money, ran out of gas outside the Miami Arena. I started to cry. Then I looked up and I saw a sign. It said, "University teams of 4 welcome, $5,000 grand prize." We figured we'd enter. I'm not exactly with the most athletic dudes on the planet, but what the hell, we were tired. Went in, entered, didn't even know what the event was. Typical Canadian, we'll go into it, right? Walked up to the judge and said, "Excuse me, what's the event? Is it running, long jump, high jump, decathlon, pole vault?" The guy stops me and goes, "No, no, no, son. This is a drinking game." That's when I got cocky as a Canadian, right? I said, "Well, I'm Sean. This is Haas, Tank, and Bear. We're the only Canadians here. You want to give us the check now? Because we're going to embarrass you as a nation, right?" They had to run the event. We had to swim to the end of this big pool, and there was like thousands of people watching. Drink a pitcher of beer, swim back, and tag your buddy. If you won 4 heats, you won $5,000. I remember we were discussing, Big Haas was here, and he's a mountain of a man, Tank and Bear, and we're going, "Well, who should go first?" I said, "Well, I'm the fastest swimmer." And Haas goes, "Well, I'm thirsty." "Well, you go right ahead then, big fella." He gets up on the blocks, and I couldn't figure out why all the Americans were laughing at him, right? But he's standing up on the blocks, and he didn't have a bathing suit. He had his cut-off shorts on. And God bless him, he tried to patch them, but his left testicle was hanging down below his short line, and he didn't even care. He was tucking it back up, and it would drop out. Didn't care at all, because he was thirsty. So they're just looking at him all weird. All the Americans were wearing Speedo bathing suits. You know what? There's still middle-aged men in this room that probably wear Speedos, and none of your family has told you this, but don't. You might as well just spray paint your bag. It's the same thing at this point. They get up on the blocks. Shoot the gun off. The Americans could swim. I watched them dive in. Haas couldn't, which I forgot. He just fell in, right? And he was mad because his smoke went out. So I tell him to go. He starts dog paddling. Have you ever seen a 375-pound man dog paddle? Not the fastest swimmer you'll ever see, right? The Americans are way ahead. I start to cry. He's chugging along like this. The guy from UCLA got to the end first. I'll never forget this. Picks up his pitcher of beer. And I think we're getting killed, right? Because Haas is still a half a link behind. Picks up his pitcher of beer and goes, and then sits it down and rests, because that was a really big sip for him, right? And the other two Americans do the same. They take a little sip and then they sit it down and rest. And I'm looking at this and I'm watching Haas, and he's starting to get mad now, right? And I'm looking at this and I'm watching it, Haas, and fuck, we got a chance. Go, buddy! The look on their face, big farmer Haas, got to the end of the pool, picked up his pitcher of beer, looked over at them, went, we won the first heat by 7 minutes and 34 seconds. The funny thing about Canadians is we will interrupt because we think if we're polite, we can interrupt anyone, right? So they were having a meeting, the judges, to decide how they were going to make it more difficult for us because we won by 7 minutes, and that's just impossible to beat, right? So they're meeting on this. Big Haas, his cut-off testicle shorts, walks up, and actually the head judge is standing there, walks up and moves them and goes, excuse me. And they all look at him like, what? And he's like, yeah, sorry to bother you. Could you put a pitcher halfway down? I get thirsty when I'm swimming. Just take the check and go away. I was like, I told you. We got invited to so many parties. We had $5,000 back then. That was amazing. We got invited to all these sorority parties. And Haas was a god. Everybody who saw it, I couldn't believe it. Like a big man, hairy. No, and never been laid. And now all these women are coming up to him, and he's just loving it. He had sex twice at this party, 2 different girls. And then he comes out, and he's all Mac Daddy, standing there like this, and I'm laughing. And then I'm sitting on the couch having a beer. I got a little buzz on, and this beautiful, beautiful woman walks in. I mean, everybody here would turn their head. Walks by every good-looking man in the party, all these American guys pushing out their chest, and walks up to Haas. And I'm sitting there going, there's no way. She goes up to him. This is what she said, the first words out of her mouth. You're that fast dog paddler from Canada. He goes, yeah, I'm the quickest up there. Now, this is when I fell out of my chair. She goes, how did you go so fast? Men will lie when it comes to beautiful women. He looks her straight in the eye and he goes, well, a lot of people thought that hole in my shorts wasn't on purpose, but the hole allowed my testicles to act like a propeller when I was swimming. Rye is very Canadian. There's nothing good about rye. Everyone here has had a bad rye experience. You ever been drunk on the rye? Yeah, it's not rye, it's on the rye. You have to say it like that. It's the worst drink going. It's cheap whiskey, Canadian Club. And I challenge any man here who denies that and says rye's a great drink. Go home tonight, sit in your basement, drink a whole bottle of Canadian Club, leave your house and try not to fight. You won't get 5 feet. Hey! You better put my garbage cans down, you and your fancy truck. I've had 3 rye experiences where I was loaded, and I've always had the same thought before I pass out. Well, what's with all these cops? I know I'm a little bit more hardcore than most, and I just noticed there's a, what are you, 7? I actually work part-time with social services, so if your parents could wait after the show. Oh my God. I used to have a drug problem. I used to do more of pretty much everything at a time, but I'm clean and sober now. I have some odd thoughts. First of all, I had a midget drug dealer for a while in amongst my... Yeah, don't ever do that, because eventually you're just going to kick him and take all his shit.